So how do we now circle back to how does yoga, obviously the mindfulness, obviously the being present, help with someone's mental health?
Okay, so one of the things that, have you ever heard of flow states?
I've heard of it. I don't know
Okay,
what it is.
ever see the movie Wanted? Angelina Jolie.
Oh, of course.
Yeah, she tells the guy, "I want you to curve the bullet," or
Yeah,
basically the scenes where the
yeah.
bullet just goes at super slow motion,
Yeah.
and everything is just like they can literally see it, and
Yep.
they shot the wings off of a fly or
Yeah.
whatnot. So the concept behind the whole yoga and flow states and all of that has a lot to do with that. When you enter a specific flow state, you actually slow everything down around you, and you increase the you heighten the awareness for a very specific thing or task at hand.
Okay.
So this is where we go back to whole filtering the noise. A good example of people who study flow states are the Navy SEALs.
Okay.
Kelly Slater.
Well, you say Navy SEALs. Anytime the Navy SEALs do something, they're the best trained people in the world.
And if you notice, they do everything automatic.
Yeah.
It's like if it takes, let's say for the sake of argument, a fraction of a second to react, they can do it in a quarter of a second.
Yeah.
And they do it automatically without fail, right? And so the Navy SEALs have studied flow states. Kelly Slater, we're talking about LeBron James, the best of the best athletes.
Yeah.
And what separates that is their ability to, because time is so relative, it's how they're able to slow everything down. Their body systems, their awareness, how they're able to kind of bring everything and calm everything. And so that's where yoga comes in. It's because yoga is also an entry point into developing that flow state, right? Becoming more aware of the presence of your presence in that state. So let's say you and I wanted to do just a simple practice, not even yoga movements, but let's just a simple breathing practice, right? So let's ground ourselves. Let's just do something really quick. So feet are going to be on the ground. Just sit upright, get everything nice and relaxed. One hand is going to, which are you right or left-handed?
Right hand.
Right-handed. So place your right hand on your stomach, left hand up top. All right. And the only thing I want you to do is you can close your eyes or keep them open, whichever you're comfortable with. And so I want you to take a deep breath in. Inhale in first and exhale. Good. And now take note of which hand rises and falls. Is it your left hand or right hand?
My right hand.
Right hand. So now what I want you to do is just drop your shoulders a little bit more. Allow that right hand to rise slightly higher. Okay? As you take a deep breath in and hold it in for 3 seconds. And as you exhale, just allow your lips to purse and just allow the air to escape through there for another 3, 2, 3. Good. Breathe that in. Inhale in. 1, 2, 3. Exhale. 1, 2, 3. And we'll do it 2 more times. Inhale in. That's 1, 2, 3. Exhale. Good. And one last. Good. And you can bring your hands back to your lap and then just open your eyes. So tell me, like, just doing that small action of doing that. Did you notice anything different?
Just relaxing. My shoulders started to relax a little more towards the end.
Exactly.
There. I just feel a little less stressed, a little less tight.
Exactly. And so the simple act of breathing there made you more conscious of how your shoulders were rising and falling. And so that circles back with how these muscles are simply affected by stress or anxiety or whatever excitement. You could be happy and excited and laughing the whole time. And you might notice when you're laughing and you're just like bawling your eyes out just like in laughter, your neck actually and your shoulders are sore.
Yeah.
And this is a good way to just reset that.
Okay.
And you just did it in what, 20 seconds?
Yeah.
You brought everything down and you were immediately more aware that, okay, just by taking those breaths, I'm actually more relaxed. And that's already bringing yourself back to the moment.
Yeah.
When you're breathing consciously like that, it actually limits you from thinking about other things also. And so what you were saying earlier, where your mind is running 100 miles an hour, just doing all these other things, what you're doing now is that you're taking the distraction of all of those and bringing it back to yourself, for yourself, so you could do that. Okay? And so you're making it about you. You're not making it about anyone else.
Yeah, I like it. You know, and it's something where when you're doing yoga, in your mind, as an outsider, you're thinking of, okay, for the body, right? And you're not necessarily understanding the mindfulness and the spiritualness that come out of it. And just something like this kind of explains, yes, you're doing something for your body, but at the same time, it's bringing you back to yourself. It's bringing you to, to be present, to be mindful. And when you're in that state, for those who have not yet experienced the totality of life or what it's like to be mindful and present, and they're just stuck in their anxious state, or they're stuck in their stressful state. They won't understand it, and this is a great way of kind of explaining to those who don't really understand. Yoga is not just for your body; it's for your mind and spirit. And this is a great way. I mean, for the 20 seconds we did, I feel so much more relaxed just doing that breathing technique than the 20 second or the hour prior to us just talking, right? I feel so much more relaxed just with those simple breaths.
And this is why, like, one of the things I also, like, when I caution people in choosing the yoga teachers, I also tell them that you want the yoga teacher who actually embraces that practice or that thought, right? You don't want to go to a yoga teacher who, I mean, let's face it, Instagram is, like we were talking about earlier, it's free marketing, it's all of that. And I've seen yoga teachers whose Instagram is all about them doing handstands, headstands, different yoga poses and whatnot. But yoga is not a pose. Yoga is not that. That's just, again, a small percentage of the physical practice. But that's not what yoga is about. And what we tend to do as the general public is associate that, because the favorite yoga teacher we have tends to, oh, they can do a handstand. Oh, they can do this. But the reality of it is that yoga is very personal. Yoga is your journey. It's not somebody else's journey for you.
It's the first time I'm hearing about it this way. and it's great. It's great because you're 100% right. Anytime I've have yogi friends or who are yoga instructors, but you watch their Instagram and it's just them doing poses and not explaining this side of it, which is tremendous, right? There's a whole medical side to it as well that I don't hear from other yoga instructors, right? I'm sure they talk about it when you go to them, but this conversation right here gives me more insight into yogis and what they do and what their industry is about. It's not just about poses. It's really, that mindfulness, that being present, the breathing exercises to help lessen the stress. I really feel so much less tight.
One of the things, like, it's always funny because, like, I've had conversations with yogis and yoga teachers and whatnot, and when it comes down to it, if they want me to quote a medical journal or quote, like, some kind of, I will, and I can explain why it is.
I guess that's the beauty of
that's
marrying the physical therapy and yoga.
Because what happened was that, and this is so funny because this was my experience when I was taking it. So I did my yoga teacher training. And the teachers were based in LA. Okay. And so my classes would run from 10 p.m. to 7 a.m. Dude, it was like that for a few weeks.
Oh my
And I was just like, oh man.
I
was like stoned out of my mind. Like my brain was fried, right? And and take note, I would have to do all of the poses. I would have to understand the philosophy and all of it. But one thing the yoga teachers always were cautious about, because they knew I was part of the audience, was delving into anything that had anatomy and physiology to it. They'd always ask me before, Francis, do you agree? And I'd be on the other end. I'm like, I'm not the teacher. I was just like, okay. But I mean, I got what they meant, right? I understood why they asked me. But for me, it was just more of like, I'm here to learn from you guys. But you can't take away the fact that because I do know the human body, it gave me that advantage. So whenever yoga teachers talk to me about this pose or that pose, I can play the devil's advocate and be like, well, why is it good or why is it bad? But the one thing I am learning more and more, and because I didn't need to learn more about the physical aspect of yoga, I was able to give more attention towards the philosophy and the spirituality of it, right? And the fact that these are things that are so underutilized and untouched. Because it's funny, I used to teach different physical movements and patterns for years. Not realizing that these are all like yoga things. I was like, I would teach people how to do child's pose. I didn't realize, oh yeah, you're right, that is in yoga.
Part of it. Nice.
Right? Or for example, like downward facing dog. I'm like, or upward facing dog, that's actually a stretch for your back. And I'm like, oh, okay, well, we've been doing that for years as physios. And so because of that, it gave me a very unique perspective and unique lens. And the reason why it really helped me in my practice in yoga and as a healing movement practitioner is because then I was able to really put things into better context and look at it from very different aspects.